Hello everybody! You probably clicked on this video because like the title, let's be honest. And this is actually a juicy video. This isn't clickbait. I don't even know how to clickbait. I didn't even say the word right. Clickbait? Clickbait. I don't know how to do that. That is a thing that new YouTubers do. So today's video is exactly what the title is. It's why I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. A disclaimer is I'm someone who would never use my personal life for like views or clickbait or for anything other than to help you guys. I feel like I've gone through so much in my lifetime, and every time I go through something really hard, it's really important that I share it with people. So today I want to talk about my old relationship and my new relationship. You guys know that I had an ex-boyfriend. He was present on my internet social platforms, and you guys also know that I have a new boyfriend, Cameron. It's so weird when I say new boyfriend because it sounds like it's just like another one of the boyfriends, where it's like Cameron's not that. He's like the most important thing in the world to me, and I could literally cry thinking about it. The inspiration behind this video is not clickbait. It's actually Hunter March's book. Hunter March is my oldest and bestest friend from digital space, LA, YouTube, and a year ago, Hunter asked me to write a story for his book. This is basically like a chicken noodle soup for the soul influencer version, and so there's a bunch of people in it, a bunch of people you know. Jen's in it. Jen's story is actually about our friendship, which is really cool. And my story, it's in the heartbreak section, which is fun. This is my story in the book, and I wanted to make a video kind of inspired by it because I think it's really important. It's called Love Yourself. I'm gonna read you a little bit from the story so that you have context when I talk to you about why I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. When I was in high school, no make that middle school, I became obsessed with the idea of love. I always thought of love as a perfect relationship with a perfect boy, like in the movies. I fell in love with the idea of love. So I guess you could say I've been a hopeless romantic since I was very young. I remember sitting on the swings with my childhood best friend, listing off each boy I liked in each grade. And then finally, in my senior year ethics class, I learned what love really takes. My teacher explained the difference between love and infatuation, and that difference was work. Literally, the answer to a question on a test, I'm 100% positive. Okay, 99%. But still, it was love. Love equals work. That's what I wrote down in my notebook. For me, that was great news. Not only was I a hopeless romantic, I was a hard worker. Even in high school, I was always working on blog posts, videos, networking, and taking over the city of Chicago at 18 years old. Everything I've accomplished in my career was based off my strong worth ethic. I don't take no for an answer, and I always figure out a way to succeed. So as I grew up, I never let any of the boys I thought I loved or loved the idea of go, because I thought if I could just work hard enough, I could make any relationship into the perfect relationship that I fantasized about. Let me shatter that illusion for you right now. The perfect relationship doesn't exist, but I didn't know that yet. My first real love, this is about my ex-boyfriend. I met the guy who would be my boyfriend for nearly 2 years. A mutual friend had been trying to set us up for a while now because she knew we would hit it off, and she was right. When I saw him, I knew immediately. I felt it. Blah, blah, blah about our first date. In the past, it was so easy for me to pick people apart and see their flaws, but when I fell in love, you guessed it, I couldn't see anything but perfection. In reality, he had quit his job, so he was financially unstable. He was totally emotionally unavailable. He lived with his parents in the Valley, which is like literally millions of miles away in LA time. It's basically a long distance relationship. And even when we could be together, he sometimes would choose his friends over me, or just going to the gym because he loved working out. Still, to me, he was perfect. Everything I'd ever wanted and more. Stuff I didn't even know that I wanted. I supported him quitting his job, which he did right after we started dating, to pursue his dream of acting. I told myself I didn't mind that we couldn't see each other a lot during the week because we would talk every night on the phone. And even on the weekends, I'd let him do his thing, and I would sit and wait for him to return because I didn't mind. I was going to make this work. Well, I knew the moment we locked eyes with each other, we'd fall in love. I don't think he ever planned on that happening, but he just couldn't help it. It just happened. So when we said I love you for the first time, I remember having to pry it out of him because he was scared. I wasn't. I insisted it was okay and we could make it all work. But even when he said I love you, he wasn't ready to attach himself to someone else. I attached myself right away and loved him with everything I had. That's when the work began to overshadow the love. It's hard planning your life around someone else, especially as you're trying to grow into yourself and as a person, as well as a couple. We were truly in love, of that I know. But because I wanted that perfect relationship so badly, I wasn't letting things happen organically, and we began to resent each other. Then, 7 months in, he broke up with me. Like now, thinking about this, I didn't even know it was 7 months in. These are things I'm just remembering from reading my own story. I figured it didn't work because I wasn't working hard enough, so I decided I was gonna work harder. I would send him text on text about how he made a mistake and how things could be different. I would offer suggestion after suggestion. I would drive to him, he could stay with me. We didn't even need to see each other during the day, so it could work, I swear. Every single weekend, I would literally cry when he left because I felt like nothing without him. I wanted to be with him every single day, but suddenly I realized he didn't even want to be around me. I love him, but do I love myself? That was probably a question that had never crossed my mind back then. I channeled everything I had into making our relationship work, and doing so, I totally ignored my own needs. I began taking care of myself. I started therapy again for the first time since high school for my overwhelming anxiety. I felt crazy, like I wasn't even a real person anymore. I began to feel hopeless, and after months of resisting, I agreed to go on medication. And as someone who has dealt with depression before, I did not want to go even farther down the road I was already heading. So I took care of myself, saw the doctors, took the medicine, started doing things I had always wanted to do with him on my own. I finally felt like I could do things without him. For example, I always wanted to get a puppy with him because I was afraid I couldn't handle it by myself. But I did get a puppy, and it was the best decision I ever made. Shout out to Stella. I started hanging out with my friends again, not just his. I started putting more energy into myself, and I started growing stronger and stronger. I got to a point where I wasn't even crying when he was leaving. I was so confused. I was like, do I not care about him? Slowly I realized I had spent so much time thinking about what I could work on. I didn't really think about the things that he was working on, which in retrospect was literally nothing. He wasn't really working at all. I had worked to accept his flaws, but he hadn't accepted a single flaw of mine. For me, my flaw is being insecure. I'm insecure when it comes to being loved and believing the affirmations I'm giving. All I wanted was for him to say the right thing when I was sad. I just wanted him to look me in the eye and say, Lauren, I love you. I'm always going to be here for you. We are in this together. He never did that. He didn't really even try. And that's when I realized the one thing I was doing wrong. I was making excuses for him. I would convince myself I didn't need more quality time, or I didn't need someone to profess his love to me every day. In my mind, his resistance to saying, I love you, Lauren, we're a team, was just him being a guy. I was genuinely in denial. Finally, I got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? I need someone who can love me the way I need to be loved. And for the first time, I thought that maybe it wasn't him. I came to this insane epiphany over a night of a cheese platter with Jen and Arden in my kitchen. I literally said out loud, I think I just spent so much time loving him and putting everything I had into him because I didn't love myself. We all looked at each other just like, whoa. I finally said it out loud and it became real. I finally loved myself, like really loved myself. And I knew what I deserved. So I laid down the law with him and said I needed some space to think about it if he really wanted this. And he didn't fight for me. So that was it. And then it goes on into about loving yourself, because the moral of the story is I had this guy that I so quickly fell in love with him. Maybe I just fell in love with the idea of him. Maybe I just love the idea of love so much and I had none of it in my life with myself that I put it into someone else thinking I could fill all the voids inside me. We all have issues, we all have holes, we all have things that we feel that we want, and I feel like it was the first guy that I had met in LA that really was a good guy. Looking back, I would never say I broke up with my ex-boyfriend because he was a bad person or he didn't have a good head on his shoulders or he wasn't from a good family. It's like, he was a good guy. He was never an asshole. He was nice, but he did not love me the way I deserve to be loved. And when this book got published, literally a year later, aka this year, and I was sitting on my couch after the book signing with Cameron. Cameron and I do this thing where I always ask him to read a bunch of things and watch a bunch of videos, and it's, you know, we spend all the time together, so I just end up reading things aloud to him and pressing play for videos and watching them with him. And I was sitting there and I was like, here, I'll just read the story to you so I know you actually read it because I want you to read it. And I was really proud of just my writing and how well spoken I think I got my story across at this really important time in my life. And I was sitting there and I was reading the story to Cameron, and I had like yet another epiphany where I was sitting there reading the story from a time in my life where I was so broken and built myself back up and was saying all these things that I didn't get from my ex-boyfriend. And I realized I was sitting in front of this person that without question or without having to ask, without having to say, Cameron, this is what I need. Cameron, do you love me? Cameron, can we hang out more? I didn't even have to say those things. I was sitting in front of this person that I had already built the perfect relationship with without even having to fight for it, without even having to break myself down for it, without even having to become so anxious and so reliant on him, without having to go on antidepressants. Like, it was like I was sitting with this person and our biggest thing, Cameron and I, is being teammates and loving each other and being there for each other and working as a team and as partners. I remember one time I was so upset with my ex-boyfriend. I was just looking him in the eyes, just being like, all I want you to say is like, I love you and we're in this together, like nothing else matters, because that's like so important for me. And all he would say was, you have such a good agent, you have such a good manager, you have such a good team, you have so many friends. And like, I'm sitting there just like, do you not get it? Like, do you not realize that all I want is you right now? Then flash forward to our next breakup and I'm going through so much family stuff and I'm sitting there talking about my first therapy session and how I'm so stressed out and how I don't know what to do and how I'm working towards a better future, and he just had nothing to say. Nothing. And that's when I realized he was emotionally unavailable and I couldn't pry this person to open up to me anymore. I couldn't make this person love me more. I couldn't make this person want to spend more time with me. And the fact that I was reading about all this stuff in front of this person that I've never even had to ask to love me, I've never had to ask to accept my flaws, I've never had to ask to be my teammate, who was just coming to my life as my best friend, and we've worked together as a team and saw how well we work as a team and just fell in love with each other and just been completely on the same page and completely supportive of each other, actually make each other feel loved. Like, it's so emotional to think about because I didn't even try. It's just the craziest, like, full circle story ever that I couldn't help but make a video about it, because I will never stop using my platform to, like, share my life and share my experiences and share my story. And I think this is such a special story because it shows a person that all they wanted was love so badly. But maybe I didn't deserve it, for lack of a better term, or maybe I just wasn't ready for it, I guess. And it was with the wrong person, not a bad person, the wrong person. You're so afraid of being alone, and you're so afraid of not having another boyfriend, or you're so afraid that you just need a boyfriend. And you know, there's this stereotype, like, you have to be married before you're 30, like all these fears that are implanted into you. So you find a very attractive guy with a good head on his shoulders, and you're like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the one, like, I'm gonna fight for it. And I fought so hard for this person that literally barely fought for me. I was a broken human being. There was so much other stuff going on too, but I would not be able to sleep. I would wake up just anxious. I took myself to so many places. I was on sets for work, hysterically panicking, crying, and then 2 seconds later having to wipe away tears and just be on camera and just pretend like everything was okay. And it was such an unhealthy place. All I wanted was this person to see that and to be my teammate, and I was so afraid of losing him and, you know, being wrong. Got this like weird idea in my head of something that it just wasn't. And I feel like the day that I finally realized this isn't anything that I think it is, I was sitting there so anxious, so emotional of just all this stuff going in my life. Even if you have no advice, you have no idea what someone's going through. If someone comes to you and you're like, I'm so depressed, I'm so anxious, I don't know what to do with myself. If you have no experience with any of those things, all you have to do is say, I don't know exactly how to help you, but I'm here. I love you and I'm here. I support you. And if you can't even say that, you do not need that person in your life. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. You know, you need to wish bad things upon them. I don't. You need to take care of yourself. You are the most important person. No one else is gonna take care of you besides you. No one else is gonna pick you up when you're down. And clearly he wasn't. So I literally looked him in the eye and I was like, do you wanna go on a break? Do you not want this? And then 2 weeks later, I literally booked a movie and was like, well, I'm moving for a month and a half. So like, bye. And he was just like, bye. And that was literally it. I moved into my own apartment. I had my dog. I started hanging out with all these new friends, working on all these new projects. I was just so focused on my career, but also my social life. And then all of a sudden I meet this guy. Well, I meet two guys, and I become really good friends with them really fast, Greg and Cameron. And we became really good friends, and just all three of us would just hang out all the time. You know, in LA, it's really hard to make friends and like find really good, genuine people. And so the three of us, we were like, wow, like how do we find each other? This is so cool. Like we all just need to stay friends. And so I remember literally Cameron and I going out to dinner and him like friend zoning me over sushi, and I was just like, whatever, like I don't care, like yeah, let's just be friends. Why would we hook up and ruin this friendship? And then, you know, a few months of friendship go by. The next thing you know, like we're dating and like the happiest versions of ourselves, and like every single fight we've gotten through stronger. It's never been like we've gotten in a fight and like not concluded something from it and not been on each other's side. We never go to sleep angry. We always support each other. We're always there for each other. We're always understanding of each other's feelings. We're not perfect at all, but we accept that and we try and meet in the middle. We profess our love to each other like crazy. We make each other feel safe and secure, and we are a team, and we make each other just really genuinely happy and work harder and better and like stronger. And like that is what you need from a relationship. Even if you're dating someone who's not bad or not awful or like just like okay, it's like you don't need to be in a relationship if you don't love yourself. You don't need to be in a relationship if that person is not your teammate. You don't need to be in a relationship if it's not bettering you. You are the most important person in your life. I didn't date anyone after my ex-boyfriend until I knew that it was the best thing for me, because I am always going to be my number one priority. I wouldn't have gotten to this place if it weren't for everything that I had been through and all like the lessons that I had learned. So for you clickbaiters, the reason I broke up with my ex-boyfriend is because I loved myself more than he loved me, and I didn't need him. I encourage you to make yourself a priority and make love a priority and start the love with yourself. It is so important to love yourself and those around you. Love is so important. having a teammate and having a person is so important, but you have to start with yourself, because why would you want anyone to love a shitty version of you? This amazing person that comes into your life deserves to know the best you and deserves to be loved with the greatest amount of love you're capable of giving. So please, 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 it's not easy and it's not quick. This took me like 2.5 years to figure out. Like, I'm not saying you're gonna figure it out overnight or just after watching this video, but I hope you can take something from it. Take something from my story, your guys' support about seeing how happy I've been lately and how in love I've been lately, and it makes it just that much more special when I'm able to share it with everyone that supported me for so long. I haven't done a really emotional video in a while, so I hope you guys enjoyed this little intimate talk that we've had. Video in no means is to rip on my ex-boyfriend. If you haven't noticed, I haven't even said his name, because this video isn't even about him genuinely as a person. He is an amazing human being. It's genuinely about the experience and about the characteristics he may have showed in a relationship that I don't believe define him as a person either, just how I don't define myself from how I acted in our relationship either. So this is not a crazy bashing drama video. This is literally just to use two people to show you how you can get better and how you will be loved one day and how you will love yourself one day, even if it's not today, even though I truly believe it should be, because I'm telling you, you deserve it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please subscribe, because the more the merrier. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to love yourself even more than you already do. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you in the next video.